Hey. I'm going to be doing a game review and comparison. I'm going to be reviewing the Solasta Crown of the Register and comparing it to Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's, not Boulder's Gate. I've always pronounced it incorrectly. Anyway, this is a little bit truer to the 5e rules than BG3. They're very close cousins. I highly recommend this game. As you can see, you can start off with your typical classes. It's got, your fighter cleric. There we go. Cleric fighter. Oh, they do have paladin. I haven't played a paladin yet. I've created two parties so far. I'll tell you about those in a little bit. They do have pre-rolled characters if you want to use them. I'm a control freak. I created my own characters. Character creation in this game is nice. One of the few complaints I had with BG3 is you couldn't roll up your characters. You can roll up your characters with Solasta. And let's talk about that name, Solasta. I have to get used to it. It sounds a bit awkward, which is funny because at least when said out loud, back in the day, I would come up with some really cool character names, write them down. They look neat, and then you say them out loud, and it's like, ooh, no, that's not what I hoped it would sound like. But anyway, character creation is awesome. Typically, half hour to an hour for me to make up one character. They do have your typical D&D classes and races. Elf with two sub-races of elves, dwarves with two sub-races of dwarves, hobbits. Interesting what they do with the halflings. There is a marsh halfling and a seafaring or seaside. They're sailing hobbits. Interesting twist. I like that. Humans, half elves, dwarves, hobbits. No gnomes, no half-orcs. Guys, show the half-orcs some love. Anybody out there. I know they weren't very popular back in the day. They probably still aren't, but that's why I liked them so much. Very few people played them. Best of both worlds, humans and orcs. I don't want to play a full orc. I want to play the best of both worlds. A little bit of intelligence and a lot of brutality. Anyway, okay, let's talk graphics. The environment is beautiful. The Solasta. Environment's beautiful. Combat is cool. The only downside to the look of it all and maybe we'll see a bit of it here, the actual characters and cutscenes with the NPCs. It's very stilted and very basic compared to BG3. That said, don't let that hold you back on this game. It is a tougher game than BG3. In Solasta, you can't just eat food to heal. I've yet to see any type of exploit. Here's a cutscene. I'll show you what you mean, and it's maybe a ticky-tacky complaint, but I was playing BG3 for a while, and the cutscenes were much more beautiful in BG3 than here, but it is what it is. It's still in early access. Solasta is going to go, the full game will be released end of this month, I think the 27th. I recommend this game, but it's tougher. It's got a really cool combat. Is rough. Like I said, I've made two parties so far. Went very generic with fighter, cleric, mage, rogue on my first. Got them up to about 4th level. And when you hit 3rd level, you can choose between a feat, that buffs up your class a little bit. Excuse me. or buffing up your attributes themselves, which is neat. Second party, I did fighter, cleric, mage, ranger instead of the rogue. I went with a ranger for range combat, range, so some range damage. In other words, they do background with Solasta. You can choose to be either a scholar, aristocrat, lowlife, soldier, things like that. That helps you flesh out and gives you a few extra proficiencies and things like that. Solasta has a really neat crafting system, so you can make healing potions. And I did manage to cobble together enough components and material to make like a +2 axe, which was really cool. BG3 doesn't offer that yet. And last I heard, Baldur's Gate 3. It's going to be next year before that full game gets released. Thank you, COVID. Solasta is a lot tougher. I die so often in that game. I've never been a really strong spell user, but my cleric game is gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to up my game with the clerics and the healing. Spell management has always been a little tricky for me. So, but you do get your 2 short rests, you take your long rests, stuff like that. Okay, I'm back. In Solasta, it's got a very good vertical game to it. A lot of climbing walls and scaling cliffs and things like that. A lot of jumping from like pedestal to pedestal or crate to crate. Make sure your athletics are up, your strength and your dex are up to really get around, easily get around. They don't have that much in Baldur's Gate 3. Solasta is a tougher game to play than BG3. That's for sure. They are close cousins. If you like BG3, you might like this. You're going to have to really watch what you're doing, though. I'm trying to think what other big differences in this game. It's a little more linear. It doesn't quite railroad you, but Solasta is a little more linear than BG3. I highly recommend it. Oh, by the way, yeah, Solasta is made by Technical Adventures. I am not a paid representative. I just dig the game and wanted to talk about it and compare and contrast it to BG3. What else? Oh, inventory. They do. There is an encumbrance system in this game, of course, but compared to BG3, it's easier to move stuff around. I've already seen in the forums when it comes to BG3 that I thought it was just my old mouse. You would go and move stuff around. I'm very OCD with inventory management. I want my scrolls over here, and I want my healing and my potions, and I want a big spot up top in my backpack for new items that I find. BG3, you go to move stuff around, and you're accidentally drinking potions when you're just wanting to shuffle items around, or actually eating food or using items that you don't. I'm just trying to stay organized. I'm not having that problem at all with Solasta here. Now, Solasta is much more stripped down to where you're not going to carry as much stuff. They have I've only been to 2 or 3 little towns or outposts, whatever you want to call them, but they do have party chests that you can stow all your extra stuff. Like in BG3, you'd stash stuff at your camp. You can send things to your camp. They have something similar to that, to where if you really want to hoard stuff, Solasta might actually break me of my hoarding hoarding tendencies, but inventory. Stay with me here. Yeah. Anyway, crafting system is really cool. There's really not. I don't think there's any kind of crafting system in BG3. But the crafting is cool. It seems like there's something else. I'll probably remember after I finish recording this. That I wanted to talk about that. Anyway, check it out. It's in early release right now. I think I read somewhere that the level cap for Solasta is going to be 10, which is pretty realistic. I mean, if you can take it, I'm back in the day. I'm an old school D&D guy. Back in the day, if you can get your character up to 8th or 9th level, you're a badass. So, and I've gotten one party up to 4th level so far, and it's gotten a little better. And the monsters and stuff get a lot tougher. It's really cool. It's a hell of a challenge, but I dig it. So there.